Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a little project on the Ram 2500. This car has the Laramie trim package, leather interior, and one of the issues with that is the shape of the seats and the height of these vehicles mean that when you get in and out, you tend to slide over this little side bolster, and what that means is that wears down. And these crack and they look horrible after a while. So what most people do is put covers on them. But I like the leather interior. I don't want to cover it. I think I might have a solution. Company sent me some leather seat covers to try out that are made specifically for this truck. So we're going to unbox them and get them installed and see what we think. Here we go. This is the box with our covers in from Cover Auto. They use a slightly different name in their Amazon store. I'll link to that in the bottom here. But as you can see, everything comes neatly packaged in this nice little zippered bag. So Henry, why don't you give that a pull, see if we can get that out of there. Look at that. So inside the box, you have this nice little carrying case, I guess, in case you wanted to ever take them off and walk around with them. Not that we're going to do that. So we got this opened up. Looks pretty nice though from the outside. All right, so inside the package, I'm sorry about the wind. We have our front seat covers all kind of packaged together, and our back seat covers are underneath. Inside the front seat covers, you'll find the lowers, the uppers, and the headrest covers, which also make a handy dandy hat. Okay, so in the bundle, we have our two seat covers. They do have the brand name across the front, which I kind of wish they didn't, but we'll see if that bothers me enough that I can't keep using these. I'll figure that out later. So these have elastic straps here. There are these things called strap chucks that I'm going to go grab that we have to first put on here. And then our next step is going to be to take our headrests off so that this can slide over the top. And then these straps and the chucks are going to push through under the seat where the seat back meets the bottom and come out right down here. All right, take the headrests off. There's a push button on the side here. That's going to get you most of the way up. Then you're going to hit a second latch, and there's a second push button that's going to let you go past there. So use both hands, push those two in. This will pull straight up and straight off. You might have to tilt the seat slightly to get clearance. Headrest is removed, so now we're going to slide this over the top with the brand name facing forward, and we're going to slide it all the way down as far as we can. All right, so these are the chucks for the straps. These are going to essentially hold against the back of the cushion and keep this tight. In order to put these on, there's little gaps in them. So you're going to align the elastic through it and then turn this so the elastic sits in this inside channel here. It's really hard to do with one hand. Just like that. And then you do the same thing on the top. Just bring it through and then work it down into that channel so that it looks like this. And then that's going to get pushed down through the gap between the two seats and pulled out the back, and then aligned like this up against the back of the backrest to hold this in place. Okay, for the seat bottom then, now the top is kind of in place and held. I should mention, on my truck there's a piece on the back that covers the back of the backrest here and kind of wraps underneath. So you can't see where these little chucks come out, which is actually kind of nice. That'll all be hidden behind. But to position them, I just slid them in, and you can feel with your fingers the back side of this original seat back and just popped them up like that. So they're sitting flat against that, behind that cover. But that holds everything kind of nice and tight in place. So then for the seat bottom, there are clips on the corners like this here, and then there are straps in the front. So what you're going to do with the clips is unclip them, and then the female side we're going to have to thread through this gap and get it to come out in the back, and then we're going to wrap it around the side and clip it to this. On the front, these straps, we're going to use some of the hooks, some little metal hooks here, and then those are going to click to a bar under the seat, and that combination of those two will hold this in place. So I'm going to get this threaded, and I'll kind of show you where the clip comes out of the back, and we'll get that connected. So this is that little cover I was telling you about that wraps underneath, but here's the clip. You can just kind of fish it out by pulling this cover down and finding it. Then you're gonna thread that around the side and clip it into the male side, which is hanging down right up there. Now it's gonna be a lot easier with two people, which is why you need an assistant. So I'm gonna have my assistant go up to the front so we can clip this together. So here's parts 1 and 2 installed. This one was actually pretty easy by just rolling the seat forward. The other one does require two people, so Henry in the back was able to grab the female plug. I kind of pushed it down through, and then I was able to take the male one and run it back, and he was able to clip them together. So those sit down here somewhere. For the front then, the clips went on, and those go underneath and just clip to a piece of metal down below. And then the last thing we need for this seat is the headrest. So there's a separate piece for that that's going to slide over the top, and then this will slide back in place. So here's the back of the installed seat. There's little pockets in the back here. It does flop a little bit. I wish there was something that held this in a little bit tighter, but not too bad. Doesn't block much of the legroom space at all. So that's in place. Headrest is on. And from the front, these actually feel pretty nice. I mean, they're textured, they've got little holes in it, so we shouldn't have any issues with the heated and cooled seats in this truck. Again, I'm not super happy that they have the name across the top, but we'll see. So then we have the driver's side seat that we need to get done, and we've got the back. The driver's side is going to be the same as this one, so I'm not going to bother filming that. I will show you the finished product when we're done. So here's both front seats installed. One note about this, on the sides of the seats you'll see these little cutouts. Those are for your airbags, so make sure that those are on the outside edge here. So you shouldn't be able to see them if Henry backs up a little bit. So there's no cutout on that side because we want it on the outer facing. So make sure those are on the outside edge. All right, now we'll get to the back. Okay, for the back seat we have a 60-40 rear split seat, which means these fold separate from each other. We're going to start with the short side and we're going to start with the bottom. So that's that piece right there. I'm going to lay that over top. Thank you, Henry. And there are clips and straps on this. So these clips are going to thread down through, and then the straps, I'll show you what we do. So we're going to thread it in, then you kind of tip the seat up and you attach it with the seat in the upright position. All right, so then with the seat in the upright position, see we've got our clips from the front hanging down. We've got our other clips kind of pulled through here. So those are going to plug into this, but there's also these straps, and you're going to want to go through the straps as well. So like that. And then Henry, if you grab that one right there, yep. Pull that up and plug it in. Perfect, just like that. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So I'll bring this forward. Bring that down, plug that in. Beautiful. All right, so that's what you're looking for when this is done. You've got your straps running down, clipped together, and they're through these, which is what holds the sides down. And fold back in place. You see I still have a little bit of positioning to do, so we'll get this kind of squeezed in place here. So on the 60% slide, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. You have your clips, you thread them through, clip them in the middle. There is a Velcro strap on this one too, not Velcro, an elastic strap on this one too. It only goes to the outside, so it goes on this one and that one down there. Otherwise the straps just connect straight, and then this can get pushed back down. And then we deal with the back. So I'll slide this back in. One thing I have noticed, because of their accommodating the split, it does get a little weird here at the joint. That can just get pushed in though. So you kind of just work it down and shove it back in. But there's nothing that really holds it, which is too bad. I think we can lift the outer seat and get it adjusted properly, but a little finicky, but I don't fold these up that often, so I don't see that being too big of an issue. Otherwise, they look pretty clean. We'll deal with the backs. For the backs of the backrest part of the back seat, these are three pieces that zip together. So you can see there's a zipper here. There's one on the other side. There is a longer flap, right? That goes to the outside. Zipper goes to the inside. So this would be the rear passenger and this would be the rear driver's side. You're going to insert these first. They're pretty much like the fronts, except obviously they don't wrap around the seat. So you've got chucks that go on the bottom here, and then there's a clip up at the top that's going to wrap around the arm, or headrest rather. So I'll get this in place, kind of show you how that looks. Okay, so we've got the two backs installed. Not a lot to it. The chucks just get pushed in, and then you can take the seat bottom and flip it up and kind of use that to orient the chuck. On the 60% side, that works really well. On the 40% side, the shape of the seat is such that that chuck doesn't really have anything to sit on, so I don't know how well that one's going to hold. But that's kind of secondary to our other, or I guess my only real complaint, my first real complaint about these. This is the centerpiece, and this is supposed to get zipped to the two sides and cover that middle. Problem is, if I did that, we don't get to use that armrest. And I got kids, and we use that armrest quite a lot. So we're gonna run without that. I'm not gonna bother to install that piece. But otherwise, I guess these look pretty nice. Henry says they're comfortable. The only concern that I guess I have long-term with them is there's this huge seam that sticks off of the front. You can see they've got it like wrapped over, as opposed to on the front seats where it's just kind of cleanly closed. And I don't know what that's going to feel like on bare legs of kids as we get into summer here. So maybe we'll check back on that as time goes on. But otherwise, they look pretty nice from the front. I'm not super excited about how the backs fit. Like they just kind of flap in the breeze. I wish there was a way to tighten this, but there's no adjustments. There's no like internal strap or anything that I could use to close that in. So that's just going to flap loose. And this doesn't look as nice, I mean, as it did before. My truck has leather. If this was a cloth set of seats, these would probably be a bigger upgrade. As it is, I'll probably take these off just because my standard headrests, I mean, look nicer. And I'm not super worried about protecting those. And even with it off, since we're going black leather to black leather, it's not super obvious that we're talking covered versus uncovered. So I'll probably do it that way. And then they give you a center armrest cover as well. It would sit like that, but and it would have my nice Ram logo in the middle. Again, I guess if I was a lower trim level, this would be nice, or if I had damage on the center part, that might be kind of nice. I don't see a huge need for it. I don't know, maybe I'll put it on. Haven't quite decided yet on that one. All right, that wraps up this project. Not a bad install. It was all toolless. They fit really tight and really nice and clean. They don't have that slack that a lot of the really cheap seat covers have. Like I said, if this was a cloth truck to begin with, these would be a major improvement. I mean, from the, like just from glancing at it, you wouldn't be able to tell that these weren't like actual stock leather seats. With a leather interior truck, if you're trying to protect your leather, these are a good way to do that without sacrificing much. I'm not going to keep the headrest covers on. I think those are kind of a waste. I'm not planning to put my center console cover on after kind of thinking about it for a bit. We'll leave that uncovered. If I had dogs or anything like that where I've got, you know, them moving back and forth between the two seats, that'd be a great way to keep it safe. We don't, so I'm not too worried about that. Also, the middle seat cover I won't be putting on because my family uses that center armrest too much for us to do that. All in all though, if you're looking for a way to protect your seats and still have a very factory look and a lot of comfort, like they're not bad. They add a little bit more cushion than the seat already has to begin with, which isn't a bad thing. So I like that. I ran just a quick drive with the truck, ran the cooled seats because I have heated and ventilated seats. You can still feel the airflow coming up through the perforations. It still cools fine. So I think we're good there. Yeah, I'd give them about an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I don't know how that little seam down there is going to work with the kids once we deal with bare legs. We're going to find that out in about a week. What I'll probably do is check back in and just do a quick update to the channel in a few weeks and let you know where we're at with these as they've had a chance to kind of wear in and as we've used the truck. Now it being summer, we don't drive the truck very often, so I'll find some circumstances to kind of force the issue so that we can get some miles on her and see how they wear. But they look solid. Stitching everything is really nice on these, so I don't anticipate that they're going to break down very quick. Certainly not within the bounds of a video. If they do, obviously I'll check back in and let you know. So this then being the end of a DIY dad video and dad project, I owe you a dad joke. And I was thinking about it as my kids were watching the movie Pocahontas, and there's that song about paint with all of the colors of the wind. And I wondered, like, what is the actual color of wind? It should be pretty obvious. The wind, blue. All right, remember with any DIY project, the most important step is just to do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. No one's going to see the flaws unless you point them out to them. If you like this kind of content, please do the YouTubey things, like and subscribe. And otherwise, we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.